What's up everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Whack4863, but you can call me Whack. I'm going to jump into the perk and attribute section of the dev livestream and kind of break down what's going on here with the revamp to perks and attributes. In my last two videos, I covered both the battle pass and the store and the new sorcery mechanic that is coming to Conan Exiles. Both of those links will be in the description of this video. The next video that I'm going to do is going to cover the building system, and then I'm going to wrap this series up by covering the few questions that I feel were pertinent from the end of the live stream.
It's actually important to talk about.
The leadership?
Yeah. So,
Yes.
because there's a lot of people that pointed this out, Savage is gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
the new names actually bring Savage back.
Yeah.
So, Charisma is now Authority.
Authority.
So that
Okay.
becomes the A where Grit is now. Grit moves down. And Craftsmanship is something that starts with an E. We just changed these names a couple of days ago, so it's really hard for me to remember.
Yeah.
But
Fine. Yeah.
maybe if Quaglon's watching, he can drop me the E.
Expertise.
Oh, is it expertise?
I think it is.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
so-
Savages is back.
So everyone that was sad to see Savage gone, Savage is back.
Okay, Savage, right? Not
Yeah.
Savages, like
Right, because we did cut survival off
Gotcha.
the bottom.
Right.
So I think we're all very excited to see the Easter egg coming back to Conan Exiles. I know I covered it in my video that it didn't spell savages anymore, and it's still not going to spell savages, it's only going to spell savage, because we're actually losing one whole perk tree. The perks as we know them today are strength, agility, vitality, accuracy, grit, encumbrance, and survival. The new perks are strength, agility, vitality, authority, grit, and expertise. Now I did put those in the right order so that it's spelled savage. However, it's very easy to see that accuracy, encumbrance, and survival are missing from the list, and one whole perk tree is totally gone. We are going to have one less perk tree. But don't worry, they'll cover some of that later on in the video.
I know that with the revamp, one of the main goals was to make it more like a one-to-one sort of experience, where like each level you get one attribute point that you're gonna put in. So that makes things a lot easier in my eyes to like kind of plan your builds better, or like calculate your builds better. And in addition to that, while streamlining the process, you can see here that we're also now adding a choice of perks when you level up your attribute sufficiently. So in Strength's example here, you get, you see everything up. Okay, my hand got cut off. You see everything at the very top, and then you get the choice. And then, when you get the third perk, you get to choose that. And then the fourth one is another choice. And you can see the choosing option here. And that goes for all the attributes on the list.
Okay, so right now in game we have 390 attribute points that we're able to spend. That is getting cropped down to 60 attribute points. So instead of the cost of attribute points scaling and going up as you continue to level up your attributes and unlock perks, what they've done is made it so that each time you want to put a point in, it's actually only a point. So there's no more crazy convoluted math when you're putting together a character build.
Is there anything else that I'm missing here?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much touched on it. The whole idea here is to really shake up what's available in terms of character customization and progression, and make it easier to plan for stuff. So that's why we went down to 60 points total, because the level cap is still 60. You get 1 point every time you level. Now it's easier to plan out how you can build stuff. Do I want to do like, max out 2 of them and then have 2 at 10 points each, or do I want to split one of those 10s into 2 5s? And we tried to make the choices at the 10 and 20 level a hard choice to make. So you're really deciding between like 2 very, impactful things whenever you get to those points. And we hope that leads to a lot of variety in builds. And, right now when you play, there's kind of like 3 builds that you might use depending on which activity you're doing. And for the most part, it's pretty fixed. So changing this and allowing more customization, a little more personalization, I think will make you feel more like you own your character, and it'll let you do more of the stuff you want to do instead of just doing what's there because there's no option.
So the whole idea and premise of this was to create interesting character builds, to change up the meta and make it so that there can be more builds than the 3 that people use in Conan Exiles today for different functions in the game. And my guess, and I think it's kind of hinted to in this live stream, is that the perks that are missing from the trees that were stripped out or changed have actually become part of that choice system. So as you are leveling up, you get to choose between the 2 perks at tier 2 and the 2 perks at tier 4. My guess is that's where they put those other perks that you'd be looking for in accuracy or encumbrance or survival.
We have some questions on like how weight or encumbrance is handled.
So it's actually built into that expertise perk by default,
which is craftsmanship on this screen or this video, but yes.
Yeah. So, but we added minor bonuses to all of the attributes as well. So if you invest in strength, you'll also get some more encumbrance as well too, because obviously it makes sense that someone who's more strong should be able to carry more.
Right.
So encumbrance will still be on that. It'll be on that bottom attribute that you see here. We increased the amount of encumbrance that you get per point, and this actually goes towards all of the attributes. Like the amount of strength that you get at the end of spending 20 points in strength now is similar to the amount that you would have got from spending 50 points in the old system. It's just squashed down. So you gain a lot of power a lot faster. It's a little more front loaded. But in the end, you'll still reach about the same amount of power.
So there you go, he hints to the fact that the encumbrance perk is on the expertise perk, but he also talks about the slight bonuses that all the perks have, and he points out strength as one of the perks that actually allows you to carry more as you level that up. It's also an interesting decision to front load the damage or front load the perks with better return for your attribute points spent. This will actually close the gap in some of those interactions of being a noob player and being a level 60 player, at least in the PvP segment of the game. It'll also be interesting to see at what point in that perk tree or what point in that attribute line could you actually defeat most or all of the PvE content.
Will armor and weapons give attribute points?
That's important because
I was just looking up, like, good call.
Yeah,
thank you.
It also goes into this build system as well. So previously, whenever you put on armor, it would add attributes, and then it kind of muddied the picture of what you were really spending your personal development points in, because you might not really realize, I put on this chest and it gave me strength, and I take it off and now I don't have one of the perks I had before. So we took the attribute points themselves off of weapons and armor, and we added the derived stats. So you can see in the strength preview, it says that strength adds strength weapon damage and additional carry weight. Whenever you get a piece of armor that would have had strength before, now it'll have strength weapon damage. So you get what is derived from that stat on the armor piece directly, instead of getting the attribute, which then gives you the stat. At the end of the day, you're getting the same stuff, but the picture of what your attribute points are spent doing is much more clear.
So as far as I can tell, the changes to your weapons and armor shouldn't really be any different than what they are now. Those stats, those boosts, that should all be there. It's just going to be displayed different on the armor. It's not actually going to buff or boost your attribute points, so you won't be able to use those pieces of armor to unlock a specific perk. However, it is going to add the damage that you would have gotten if the weapon had, say, strength, or it's going to add the carry weight if that weapon boosted your encumbrance. This is something that I'm really interested in diving into once we get our hands on the actual 3.0 update to see how this all plays out and how it works in game.
A lot of questions about bow builds, like with accuracy, and how that is now changed.
Yeah, that's an important thing. Good question. So we took all the weapons in the game and we put them in one of two categories. A weapon is now either primarily a strength weapon or an agility weapon. So if you want to be a character that is primarily, an agile, sneaky jerk who runs around and stabs things in the back, you don't even need to invest in strength anymore if you don't want to. You can just invest in agility and then spend the rest of your points in all the utility and survival-based things and the other attributes. That being said, you can invest in strength, And if you do, you'll get about an extra 10% damage on top. But the vast majority of the damage for those agile weapons will come from agility. Bows are included as agile weapons, and you will get increased damage from increasing agility. There is no more, as you can see, no more accuracy attribute. It's all rolled into agility together.
So this is actually a really big change because they've segregated weapons to certain types. So we have strength weapons and we have agility weapons. And he talks about bows being an agility weapon, but I bet you there's a lot of other weapons that go in this category as well. One guess would be that daggers would be under the agility category and not a strength category, where a two-handed hammer or a two-handed axe would definitely go under the strength category. So it'd be interesting to see as this all plays out, where do they place the one-handed swords or the one-handed axe? Do those go under the agility category or do those go under the strength category? And what's the best way to build your character dependent on the type of tool or the type of weapon that you like to use?
So in addition to this new perk system and tying into the like increased kind of emphasis on corruption and importance of corruption, like in like the general gameplay of Conan Exiles, once you hit a certain threshold of corruption on your character, you then gain the opportunity to then corrupt your perks. The first tier of perk from strength transforms into something that scales with corrupted strength, and then the second option then turns into what no evil villain in the Conan world is complete without a good old kick.
Good mule kick.
Good old mule kick. Hell yeah.
You don't keep your original perk, right? It gets overwritten by.
That's
the
right.
Correct.
You corrupt your body. You corrupt your your very self, and any attribute your character or your person would have had from being strong before, it's kind of wiped away and replaced with this little more twisted version.
Yeah.
Now this is really interesting because we're talking about a whole nother set of perks when we get to the corruption category. And from the trailer, there were 3 different attributes that you could corrupt. It showed strength, vitality, and charisma, which was actually referred to in this stream as authority. So at least those 3 perk trees will be corruptible. What's interesting is that you lose the original perk, so it is overwritten by a corrupted perk. So that's why I say in previous videos about the updates that they're doing with sorcery and that tie into PvP is that you're not going to be super powerful with melee weapons and super powerful with sorcery. You have to choose one path or another. And my brain's already churning on different ideas on how to put together different builds for gameplay in Conan Exiles once we get update 3.0.
When it comes to dancers and entertainers, so what's the deal with that?
Like things that reduce corruption.
Yeah, so they still do what they did before. One of the caveats with corrupting yourself with the attribute system, when you do corrupt attributes, your character will start to gain uncleansable corruption. So this character in the example here, corrupting an attribute halfway would mean that 25% of their health bar is uncleansable. You can still gain more corruption beyond that point. You can still go up to 50%, but 25% of that will be removable. If you max out any one of these attributes fully corrupted, you will have a permanent 50% corruption on your character, which means you can never go above 50% health. So that's the cost. That is the cost of corruption. It comes at the cost of your health, the cost of your stamina, but it gives a extreme amount of power. And that can be cleansed with the standard mains, any of the standard potions that will reset your attributes. You can remove the permanent corruption and become cleansable again.
Okay, so let me unpack this all the way. As you corrupt your perks, you gain permanent corruption. Now, obviously, corrupted perks means that you should be dealing stronger sorcery damage. And we'll have to find that out once we actually get our hands on this, but that would be my guess, is that as you corrupt your perks, your sorcery grows and you are able to use more powerful sorcery. Now, it's very interesting the way he puts it in the clip about the permanent corruption. So if you were to have one attribute halfway corrupted, that's 25% of your health bar that's going to be permanently corrupted. Then he goes on to talk about if you were to corrupt a single perk all the way, that would be 50% of your health bar that is permanently corrupted. Now he doesn't talk about what if I have 2 perks corrupted in strength and 2 perks corrupted in vitality. Am I then still only at 25% corruption of my health and stamina bar, or does that put me at 50% of my health and stamina bar? But as with all character building, you can reset your attributes, and that includes your corrupted attributes. So if you want to respec your character and you've spent all this soul reagent corrupting your character, if you drink a yellow lotus potion or the potion of natural learning, I think it is, that resets just your attributes, that is going to reset your corruption as well as your attributes, and you'll have to use those soul reagents again if you want to corrupt your character again.
And then can you preview the corrupted perks, or?
You can't preview them right now,
Okay.
and it's pretty much an in-theme, like an in-universe theme kind of decision, right? Like, if you are dedicated to this dark magic, you kind of trust in it that it will give you the power that you're asking of. And I know that there will be a wiki page up.
Yeah, within like a minute.
Within
but
5 minutes of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Test Live patch that has all of them, but in terms of the experience that you get to, we want to make things feel as dark and evil and, you know, like perverse as it can.
Right,
so.
yeah. And
So you can't see the corruption perks prior to purchasing them. So for those of you that don't want to see it, you don't have to. That's something that you can just unlock yourself. He does mention the wiki, and that's a great source of information. However, I will work to have a video out about this shortly after it comes to Test Live. Now, I rarely do this, but since this is all new and I feel like there's probably a lot of new viewers here, if you're enjoying these videos, you might consider subscribing to my channel and check out the other content that I make about Conan Exiles and other games.
Also of note, we are also going to be resetting a lot of binds, I think, with the update.
Yeah.
I believe it's important housekeeping. Yeah, we have, yeah.
Because a lot of things have changed in terms of input and how you control the game, as far as like specifically building is one of the big ones.
And just so you know, yeah, all this stuff, like all the opening your attributes, your inventory, all that, it's tabbed now.
Oh yeah.
Whoa!
No more I to open the inventory. It's you know, a little more keyboard friendly,
Yeah,
being
just-
that I is a keyboard button. We changed it all to tab to open.
Yeah, but I mean, it's right. It's more ergonomic.
It's-
Exactly,
You don't have to
yeah.
reach over. Yeah, so
It's gonna take a hot second to get used to.
Yeah. Muscle memory, I know, is a very powerful thing, but yeah. So all that stuff you see at the top there will, yeah, just be opened up with the tab button now.
So to wrap this up here, guys, we are getting some new key bindings. Those are all going to be reset with update 3.0. So if you have custom key bindings, you'll have to go in and re-input those. I would also recommend just looking at what the key binds are when you load it up after you get this new build. Additionally, I don't think I mentioned it in this video, but I did mention it in the previous video. There will be an attribute reset. So when you get this patch and you log in, you will be prompted to respec your character under the new attribute system. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. If you'd like to become a legend, there's a button that says join on this page. Click that for details. There's 2 videos on the screen. Click one of those to watch next, and I'll meet you over there.